Hello, everyone, and welcome back to 48 Now. I'm digital host AJ Weist, and Super Bowl 59 between the Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles is this Sunday in New Orleans. And of course, today I'm joined with NFL reporter Mike Jones with The Athletic. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Getting ready for the Super Bowl, that is for sure. But you've covered the NFL for many years now. You've spent the last 8 years, or you spent 8 years covering the Washington Commanders while at the Washington Post, an NFL reporter at USA Today, and now The Athletic. Out of all the years covering football, was this year's Super Bowl matchup a surprise in any way?
Um, I'm trying to think back to my preseason predictions, and I am pretty sure I know I picked the Chiefs. I think I might have picked the Packers. But I knew that I had the Packers beating the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. So I was a little bit off, but I was close. So it really doesn't come as much of a surprise when you look at the way these two teams are constructed. Obviously, the Chiefs are just the class of the NFL. And then you look at the Eagles, strong talent at every level in the trenches, at the wide receiver position, running back, quarterback, in their secondary. They are a really well constructed team. And here they are 2 years after they met in the Super Bowl. They're about to go at it again.
That's right, 100%. And as you mentioned, the last time the two squads met in the Super Bowl just 2 years ago, it came down to a controversial holding call on James Bradbury. Talk a bit about officiating for this year's Super Bowl.
Yeah, every year, as you mentioned, so that was 2 years ago. Every year, it feels like there is some type of scrutiny or controversy related to officials, and it's something that the NFL they spend a lot of time reviewing and deciding how to invest and try to fix this problem. I think that we're going to see this coming season. There was a controversy about this placement of the ball in the AFC Championship game. Did Buffalo get that first down? Did they not? There has been experimentation with a digital line to gain to measure that, so you don't have that controversy. There's also talk about having more replay assist, where the whole camera system that's around the stadium can help with reviewable plays. And so it's something that every year there's going to be some element because these are humans. And I don't know about you, but like if you've refereed at even a youth sports level, the game moves fast. You get here to the pro game, I've stood on that sideline, everything moves so fast. And an official once told me you have to make your decision in 0.75 seconds on what you think that call is when you throw your flag. And so you're not going to get it perfect, but hopefully the NFL can implement more technology to help support the referees because they want to get it right. They say a good game is when it doesn't come down to them. They don't want to be the center of attention, and so hopefully we can have a game that doesn't come down to any controversial holds or ball placement. But there's probably going to be something that happens at some point where we're all screaming at the refs.
That's right. And a lot of people don't realize how much pressure that the officials have in the game, and they have such a short amount of time to make that decision. So you're 100% spot on. But talk about the outstanding season Saquon Barkley has had for the Eagles, and can the Chiefs defense slow him down?
That's the one of the big X factors of this game is how Steve Spagnuolo and his defense will do stopping Saquon Barkley, because Barkley, as you said, historic season, rushing for 2,000 yards, almost had the single season rushing record as he came over from the Giants. He really has just elevated this Eagles team, give them a different dimension that they did not have. Look, they made it to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but in that game, Jalen Hurts was their leading rusher with 70 rushing yards. The other three running backs combined for 45 yards. Now you got Saquon Barkley, who, again, rushed for 2,000 yards in the regular season. In the postseason, he's had big runs, 60-yard touchdown runs, 50-yard touchdown runs. I think he's averaging about 150 yards a game in the postseason. So you add him to the mix with this already well-rounded Eagles offense, they're going to be really tough to stop. And so we might see a different outcome here. I could see the Eagles winning big. If Saquon gets rolling, will Chris Jones and the rest of that defensive front be able to slow him down? Or, are they going to, come up with a way to slow them down, or is this going to be a long day for them? That's really going to largely determine the outcome of this game, I think.
That's right. And on the other hand, the Chiefs, they just know how to get it done. Mahomes and company. What's at stake here for Kansas City? Obviously, they want to be the first team in the NFL to get the three-peat. But talk about what such a feat could mean for the Chiefs.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you think that, okay, winning a third straight Super Bowl, like you said, has never happened in the modern age of the NFL. And to do that, if they are able to do that, you forget Patrick Mahomes isn't even 30 years old yet. So getting a third Super Bowl right now before he turns 30 will actually put them in the discussion of being one of the greatest dynasties. And he's got a long way to go if he stays healthy. They could potentially surpass the New England Patriots with their 6 Super Bowls or Tom Brady with his 7 Super Bowl rings. This just continues to, elevate them in the history books. It would be a pretty amazing feat. We've seen it in basketball, football. It's really hard to do that because they've got the salary cap, they have free agency, they have the draft. The NFL is designed to have parity and not just one team dominating. And so if we do this right here, it really just defies the whole machine that has been built here, and it'd be pretty cool to see.
It is truly absolutely insane to see. Mahomes, like you said, not even 30 yet. He would have, what, 4 Super Bowl rings? But if the Chiefs win, where would Mahomes and Andy Reid rank among all time quarterback head coach duos?
Well, until they win 6 or more, I don't know that you can put them past Brady and Belichick, but the rate that they would have done it would be faster than the Patriots. So they're right up there. I think that by the time this is all said and done, Andy Reid's definitely said he's definitely coming back next year. And I mean, again, Mahomes is young. This machine could keep on rolling. They do just such a great job in Kansas City of surrounding them with talent and getting the most out of their talent. And so we could wind up seeing them go down as the greatest pair in NFL history.
That's right. What are some other keys to the game? Obviously, we talked about stopping Saquon for the Chiefs.
Yeah, stopping Saquon for the Chiefs, and then also, okay, say they are able to limit him. I don't think you can totally stop him, but say they're able to limit him, then that puts pressure on Jalen Hurts. Can he drop back and carry this team with his arm? That's been the knock against him this season because his passing numbers are down. But I think it's an unfair knock because they have just really leaned into the run game because that's where they have the dominance. But as we saw in the NFC Championship game, he was perfectly capable of throwing for 300 yards and multiple touchdowns and rushing for touchdowns. He can do it all. So that'll be another X factor. If they do limit the run game, how does Hurts respond? And then defensively, for the Eagles, they've got a lot of young talent. They've done really well. But if Holmes gets the ball with the game on the line and time running out, like you said earlier, they always have a way. They always know how to get it done. I think he's 7-0 in the postseason with the game on the line, needing a game-winning drive. What is this Eagles defense with Vic Fangio, the defensive coordinator, and all that young talent? What do they cook up to keep Patrick Mahomes from being Patrick Mahomes? That'll be a big indicator of which way this game goes as well.
That's so true. They just know how to get it done. I remember last year's Super Bowl, the 49ers kicked that field goal, and there was still time left on the clock, and I just knew Mahomes was going to drive down the field and win the game, and sure enough, that happened. But talk a bit about the Eagles' tush push. Do you think the Chiefs have what it takes to stop it?
Well, we'll see. They did very well against the Buffalo Bills when the Bills tried to run that play multiple times in the AFC Championship game. I will say, though, Josh Allen does not run it as effectively as Jalen Hurts does. They have that play down to a science. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. But the real key is if you want to limit the tush push, you can't let the Eagles get in third and short or fourth and short. If you can keep them in third and five, third and three, fourth and three, then they can't run it. So do well on those early downs, and then that won't come into play. But if they do, get that, they're almost automatic.
That's right. And I want to talk about the location for the Super Bowl. It seems like it is always going back to New Orleans. We saw in Super Bowl 47, that was the Har Bowl when the lights went out. But why does it seem to always go back to New Orleans with the Caesars Superdome not necessarily being a new stadium?
Yeah, well, there's a rotation. This is the 11th time for New Orleans. It'll tie Miami for the record amount of times in NFL history. There's a committee every year. Different cities make their pitch to the NFL about why their city should host the NFL, and they consider it. The NFL really loves New Orleans. Everything is centrally located. They're not spread out all over the place. This city is built to host big events. They put on a great show, and so they've got all the hotels that you need. It's a touristy destination. So the New Orleans has so much to offer that the NFL really likes, and so that's why we see them. We know next year is going to be in San Francisco. The year after that, it's going to be in LA. I believe. And so we'll see what happens beyond that. But I know this isn't going to be the last one here.
That's right. It's such a good time for New Orleans as well, with the Mardi Gras festivities going on. But here in Alabama, there's quite a bit of Eagles fans since there's so many players either from Alabama or played here in Alabama. From our area, we have safety Reed Blankenship, an Athens native who credits his football skills to hauling hay back in the day. But what can you say about Reed?
He is a guy that really does a great job for them. Always hustling, always got a nose for the ball, forcing turnovers. It was a big turnover in that Washington game where their offense was starting to get going, and there was, came up, punched the ball out. I think Blankenship recovered it. That just always seems to be in the right place when they need him. And also makes plays on special teams. Just a really well-rounded player who goes all out and loves the game of football.
That's right. And we all know Mahomes, we know Kelsey, Saquon, Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. But who are some players who might fly a little under the radar to watch for this Sunday?
I think that the whole offensive line for the Eagles is one that they probably don't get enough credit. We look at Saquon, but those guys are really good up front. And one thing, that the left tackle Jordan Mailata was telling me is like they have a goal. If they can get him through the line untouched, they know he's got the acceleration and the strength to run over a linebacker and then take off and go to the house. So that success of that offensive line is a big reason why he's doing well. Yes, he's a fantastic running back, but they fit together perfectly. For the Chiefs, as far as underrated guys, I mean, I think you have to look at their wide receiving core. They have been injured this year, but really now they've gotten healthy again. Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster. They don't have like a go-to guy like Philadelphia has with AJ Brown or Devontae Smith, but they get the job done. Obviously, like you said, they knew that Kelsey's there and he commands a lot of attention, but by committee, those guys have done well and seem to be always in the place that Patrick Mahomes needs them to be.
Yes. And moving on to the NFL season in general, were there any teams that really shocked you this season and can possibly take the league by storm next year?
I think Washington had to be the big surprise of the season. They have lost, I think it was 13 games last year. You have a new head coach, new general manager, new quarterback. We knew Jaden Daniels was a talented, quarterback in college, and knew that he had a chance as he went second overall to be really good here in the NFL. But nobody could have anticipated him playing as well as he did and really helping turn that team around to the fact they made it to the NFC Championship game, which they had not been since 1991. So they were definitely the surprise team of the season for the NFL.
I agree 100%. Dan Quinn and company, Jane Daniels, I was not expecting them to go as far as they did. I was also shocked by Minnesota as well. That was a big shock to me, the Vikings. Yeah, absolutely.
No, totally. Because look, they lost Kirk Cousins in free agency. They still had a good roster, but they had Sam Darnold, and I was like, well, I don't know what they're going to expect to get out of Sam Darnold. He played out of his mind, really found comfort in that offense. And it just goes to show you it's not always the player. The other part of the equation is having a coaching staff that knows how to accentuate your strengths and maximize them and also minimize your weaknesses. And so Kevin O'Connell did a great job of that. And that's why Minnesota was able to compete as well as they did and go as far as they did.
100%. And talk about the season Josh Allen had for the Buffalo Bills this season, which catapulted him to win the NFL MVP for the first time last night. Talk a bit about Josh Allen.
Yeah, that was a surprise for him winning that MVP. You knew he was kind of neck and neck with Lamar Jackson all season long, and the way that he was able to keep Buffalo afloat and really help them to ascend, despite the fact that they got rid of Stephon Diggs. Didn't really have a proven number one wide receiver in his place, but Allen just continued to play at a high level and put that team on his back. They, beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and him winding up getting his first MVP of his career. Again, Lamar in the All Pro voting had a really sizable lead over Josh Allen, and so a lot of people thought that okay, Lamar was going to wind up getting MVP as well, but Josh Allen pulls off the stunner last night and gets the first MVP of his career.
That's right, 100%. And then finally, with my last question, what are you looking forward to the most about this Sunday?
Really just the chess match that we're going to see between these coaches and these quarterbacks, defenses. I expect it's going to be a close game, because they have great familiarity with each other. They are strong in a lot of levels. They take care of the football. That's something that every single team that won in this postseason, they always won the turnover battle. So, which is going to be the team that makes the least amount of mistakes, doesn't hurt themselves, and position themselves for success.
100%. Yeah, I think it's going to be a nail biter as well, so I'm excited. Well, Mike, that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for joining in with me today. And if I maybe didn't ask something you'd like to further add, please feel free. But once again, thank you so much, and I can't wait.
No problem. It's going to be a great game. I think we're going to be in for a real treat. Thanks for having me.